Alright, so we are here cutting through the woods. It's early season right now. Not really early season, pre-season in August. What is today? August 22nd. And we are trying to find some rubs and scrapes or just any sign, which, I mean, there's so much I don't know, but I think the general consensus obviously is during rut they're going to move around so much and all these patterns will change, so you don't want to put too much stock into to some of the early signs you see like this. But well, look at this guy. Zoom in. Oh, where is he? It's a monster. Yeah, so you don't want to put too much stock into this early season stuff, but you just want to see, basically just trying to figure out some spots so we can set up the camera and see if we can get any meaningful pictures. And so far, really without putting any food sources out, we've got some does coming up to it, which is always good. It's encouraging to see some activity, but yeah, trying to see some bucks here. Yeah, so lots of does, even without putting a food source out. It's a good sign, and I think at least during rut, theoretically, that should bring some bucks in. But same time, it's like I don't know. There's so much lack of experience on my side that I don't know how much stock to put into these early season signs and these scrapes and rubs, if we can find them. Especially on a property like this where we don't necessarily have any great food source on the property. Although there's lots of bedding, it's a good cross through and walk through point. But holy smokes, there's a lot of spiders, I'll tell you that. Here's one of the spots we have a camera. Again, no food source here, but we've caught a lot of does just walking through. So this area's good. A lot of woods, and I think they bed in the backside of the property, from what we can gather and from the little data we have on it. But it's a good spot for sure, and not a ton of places to set up a climber in here. But there's a couple trees that I think will make work. Looks like maybe an old scrape right here. All right, just went and got camera for that little front section. Now we're walking on back. And we're gonna go check out another little area here in a minute and see what options we have. I've seen spikes back in there last year and a couple little does, but I think it's a good area. And honestly, it's not an area we've hunted much at all on this other side of the property. So we're gonna see what's over there. You know, as I think about this and I start like looking around trying to scout, I'm realizing that it's almost harder to pick a spot when there's so many perceived good options, just because the reality is there's so much experience that I lack. And I've been hunting now for about 4 years, but I haven't been able to be in the woods that much. And so, oh, spider web, another one. Gotta get me a spider stick. Get that off of there. So yeah, but it just seems almost more difficult to pick a good spot when there seems to be a lot of them. And I think honestly, this is a reflection of my lack of experience. Oh, we got into another one. There are spider webs all over this trail. Holy smokes. But I think like just coming in here and walking around the woods and just looking for signs and looking for acorns, looking for food sources, for rubs and scrapes and all these things. I'm hoping that over time it'll become less challenging. Holy cow, I'm just getting annihilated by spiders right now. Yeah, but hopefully as time goes on and you get a little more experience in the woods, it'll some of these signs will become a little more clear, because obviously, like, if you find fresh crap, then it's like, okay, that's encouraging, just because you know there's not only activity but recent activity, and then also not going on like wild, not chasing too many rabbits on signs, especially like early in the season like this. And I don't know, I think part of like the inexperience is trying to look so intensely for sign that you like miss obvious things, and that maybe somebody with more experience would probably see like right off the bat. And for me, it's like, okay, well, yeah, like hopefully, or rather, I guess, like, I think I probably get in the habit of like hyper fixating on things that I'm looking for that might be deer sign, and it may be deer sign, but not meaningful in a way that is going to allow you to get more shots at them. Yeah, but all that to say, still super fun, things to learn and figure out, and there's so much to learn. That's the other thing. But just coming in here, walking around, makes you realize how much you don't know, and like, just because they're quote unquote clear signs doesn't mean it's meaningful signs. So I think that's that experience that allows you to distinguish those two, and then ultimately allows you to hunt and scout more efficiently. And so yeah, that's the goal of today. We're just gonna set up a camera, see if we can get something going, and then and learn as we go. So this is the area last year that I saw a bunch of does and then spikes, and maybe some of you guys could probably tell me better why there's such a density in here. As a point of reference, that way is kind of uphill, and this comes down in this little valley area here, and that's basically in that little section of swamp, and it kind of runs basically all the way that way to a trickle. But this is definitely the low point of the property, or one of the low points of the property. But again, I've come in here just sitting on the ground and just seen a bunch of deer walking through this stuff. But again, I don't know if that would be, imagine not bedding, but maybe just a pass through. But it seems like it would be a good place to take advantage of. So I just set up the camera on that tree, and while I'm sitting there, I turn around and there's about 4 big does right there on this trail right here, blowing at me. So I guess that's a good sign. But I don't actually know what it means, other than the fact that they're just walking around this morning. But that's something. Always encouraging to see something. Unfortunately, I can't do too much scouting today because we're on a time crunch, but I was able to find some spots, set up the camera, and hopefully get up here again before season starts in September and find something. But honestly, it's just nice to walk through the woods, get out of the city and the traffic, and just embrace all that. Pretty awesome. loading this last bag down the steep hill where falling is borderline inevitable just because it gets slick. There you go. You know, it's kind of funny because before making any videos as I walk through the woods like this, I think I just go in so kind of mindlessly, just like walking through the woods looking for basic signs and then try to set up. And I've killed a couple deer now, but I think my success rates would be a lot higher if I were more methodical. Even in a place like this that doesn't really have hunting pressure for a lot of the year, I don't know, it just made me realize, it's really making me realize how just mindless I've been about this whole thing. Like, I need to do a better job at looking for food sources, and then also for sign, and then really like doing more of this in the early season, coming up here and trying to worry less about like corn and the perfect tree and all that, and like the perfect amount of sign, and more of overall positioning and deer movement, like just getting set up in opportunities. And then ideally, if you've got a lot of does in that area, seems like theoretically that would set you up well for rut. So I don't know, a lot to learn.